Okay, so are you seeing anything yet?
It said attending. It says attending.
Says that I'm live. So can you see anything in your window?
It says attending, and that's it. Mammoth Momentum Day 013 attributes of top hires. Wednesday, August 5th, 9:30 to 9:45.
But you don't see that it's live?
No, it says attending.
Weird. Okay, so I have it on live right now. I'm gonna look on mine. Oh, it's there. Yeah, I can see it. So click on your My Network tab and then click on events and then click on that event. And then you should see a little window with my Mammoth logo just sitting there. Probably should mute this.
Oh, there's my network.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Nick with Mammoth Training Solutions, and this is my first live event, so I appreciate you joining me. And I own Mammoth Training Solutions. We've been in business for about 3 years, and we've served well over 70, 80 business owners in about 50 different industries. So I'm glad to be with you today. So today we're talking about top 3 attributes, or 3 attributes of top hires, right? Who should we hire? Now, I know, you all, along with every other business owner, myself included, hiring is the number one, I would say, opportunity that you have in your business to excel your business, to push your business forward with the right culture, with the right crew. Okay. The workforce is definitely a challenging one to navigate. And one of the biggest things that I've seen in the last 3 years of being a business coach is the hiring process has been either, very short, had a lot of shortcomings, or there was no real hiring process at all. And so I started developing hiring processes around core values. And so the number one attribute, right, is I train to hire people based on core values. So those candidates who identify with your core values. Now, how do you know if they really identify with your core values? Well, number one, you have to know what your core values are, right? So if your company says, oh yeah, we have all, these core values, we have honesty, integrity, is it written down, right? Is it actually accessible? And are you using those in your hiring process? Quite honestly, hiring is much like a marriage, right? Where, if you get married to somebody and you don't really know what they believe in or who they are as a person, you're going to have problems, right? You're going to have more problems. And so identifying someone in your business is just as important, because that person is the front lines to your business. So, they are the mouthpiece, they're the spokesperson, they're the brand. When it comes right down to it, whoever talks to your customers is your business, if that makes sense. So skills can be taught, right? We can teach skills, but it's really hard to teach a new mindset. It's hard to teach attitude. It's hard to teach those type of things that are ingrained in us from childhood. In fact, I've read a lot of studies that said children after the age of about 8 to 10, their personality is already infused in them, okay? So identifying what their true core values are is really, really important. So I'm looking for somebody who says, hey, those values describe who I am already. I don't have to become those core values. I already am those core values. Does that make sense? So I like to ask a lot of behavioral questions, right? Example, hey, tell me about a time when doing the right thing cost you something. If your core value is integrity, right? Okay, integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking, okay? And I have all of my core values are defined. So I recommend, if you don't have core values, or if your company hasn't defined the core values, integrity is just a word. What does it mean to your company? So we actually define ours. And for me, integrity is we conduct ourselves with integrity and ethical principles, ensuring honesty and fairness in all business dealings. We are deeply committed to our goals, clients, and personal development, unwavering in our dedication. That's integrity to me, okay? So what's integrity to your company? And then ask your candidate, hey, tell me about a time when doing the right thing cost you something. Anybody can do the right thing when it's easy, right? Anybody can literally do that. But when it costs you something, that really tells you who you are, right? So hire for character first, okay? Train for skills second, okay? That's the number one attribute. They identify with your company's core values, okay? So number 2, they have an enthusiastic attitude towards problems, okay? Anybody can come in and talk about all the problems they had, right? But it's how they attack those problems. Do they see problems as opportunities, which I do, and which anybody that I help hire, I want them to see those opportunities or those problems as an opportunity, not as a problem. Oh, this always happens, right? Oh, they're doing that again, right? Oh, the office screwed this up again. No, what are the opportunities that we can find in those problems? Every company has problems. Great employees see them as an opportunity to contribute. Okay, they look for solutions. This is one of the biggest things, okay? I teach this all the time. You get what you focus on. Okay, I want you all to see that. I want you to write that down because this is a fact. If you focus on problems, you get more problems. If you focus on solutions, you find solutions. And so I want to hire candidates that can talk to me about how they've seen problems, turned them into solutions and opportunities to grow, for the company to grow, for them to grow personally, and for the company to move forward in its mission, right? And I always say in business, okay, people first, mission always. Okay, people are the first thing you need to worry about, but the mission has to get done regardless. So if you have to go through people to get the mission done, unfortunately, that has to happen sometimes, because even the tightest hiring process isn't going to weed out every single person that would be a bad apple for your company. However, in most cases, we can do that with a great hiring process. Okay. So listen for positive language when they describe difficult situations. You know, I ask people, tell me about a problem that you've solved. Okay. There's another question I like to ask. Tell me about a opportunity that you saw that everybody else saw as a problem. Okay. Or tell me about a problem the company had that you didn't really see as a problem. How did you address it? How are you able to overcome that and make something happen out of that problem? Okay. So I don't hire people. I don't like to hire people that tell me, oh yeah, my company has problems. One of the biggest indicators that you have a bad apple in front of you is when they come into the interview and then start talking about all of the bad things that their old company or their current company is doing, or their boss is doing, or, you know, they don't get paid enough, or this and that. It basically can turn into complaints really fast. And that's a huge indicator you're talking to a cancerous person that you should not be looking at hiring. Okay. That's a telltale sign. So I hire people who can help solve problems, okay, instead of create them. Number 3, they're self-aware enough to explain something they would have done better. All right, whether it's in their current role, whether it was on the football team, on the basketball team, in a former role, you know, are they self-aware enough to know they could have done something different, something better? Maybe it would have had a better outcome for them. Okay. And I like to ask this, looking back at your previous position, what would you do differently today? And that spurs a lot of honest conversation. Or, you know, well, I wouldn't really do anything different because everything was great. And the reality is, folks, if everything was great, they wouldn't be moving. They wouldn't be changing jobs all the time or even looking for a new job, right? If it's great. So you got to weed people out like that. Okay. So the best employees we've ever hired were never afraid to admit that they could have done something better. You know, this is another thing. When employees don't admit that, yeah, they should have handled that differently, and they just become obstinate to any kind of coaching, that's a red flag, a telltale sign you have a cancerous employee. Okay. So, you know, the fact of the matter is hiring should be a process in your business. Okay. And I do 3 things. I'm going to go into a little more detail of value for you guys. Okay. Let me get this. I do 3 things in hiring. Okay. It's 3 steps. Each interview is a step. There's 3 steps to every single hire. Okay. The first step is very simple. Okay. It's a core value interview. Okay. What we just talked about, number 1 attribute, right? They identify automatically with your core values. So that's my first interview. It's a 30-minute interview. And if they can't articulate how those core values identify them, and I know I talked about them identifying with core values, but really it's those core values identify who I am already. Okay. If they can't talk about that, then it's kind of like we don't go to step 2, right? That's kind of where we stop is, hey, you don't align with our core values. It's cool. We like you. We're not upset at you. You just don't fit this company, and that's all right. You don't have to tell them that, right? Okay. Number 2, we have a character interview. Now, Now, what I do in here is all the questions that we asked in the first core value interview. I write down answers to all those questions. We write them down very thoroughly. And then we go back, we create a new questionnaire based on the answers on some of those questions. So we'll take those character type questions, and then we'll come back and we'll ask them to expand on those questions. So expand on how they did this, how they did this. And basically their answers to the character questions should very closely align to their answers with the core value section, right? The core value interview. And if they start crisscrossing and you start getting misinformation or conflicting information, you know, like maybe this person's not exactly who they said they were in the first interview. Okay. So that's the second interview. Now notice the first two interviews have nothing to do with skills, hardly anything to do with skills. We barely ask them about their skills. Okay. Why is that? Skills can be trained. Attitude can't be trained, right? Core values can't be trained very easily. And you're not trying to adopt somebody to, you know, you're not adopting an animal to help and fix up and get back on their feet. You're hiring an employee, a professional for your business, right? You got to think about this in business terms. If they don't fit today, it's going to be very hard for you to get them to fit in 6 months. And you waste a lot of time, money, and energy hoping that they're going to fit when they're really not going to fit. Okay. So hire slow, fire fast, right? So the third interview, this is where we do our skills assessment. Oops. Okay. So skills assessment, can they do the job, right? If they pass the attitude, the core values, and all this stuff, they've already said they can do the job. The resume says whether they can do the job or not. So if they even got an interview, you suspect they can probably do that job. Well, if they couldn't, the first two interviews should have weeded that out. It should have weeded that out. Okay, so now we go to a hour, 2 hours, sometimes half a day. I have customers or clients that will pay their candidate cash for a day, $20 an hour, whatever they decide. You're going to work in the business with me for one day. There's no commitment there for either side, and the person gets paid to come out and show their skills. Now, one thing about that is I also like to give them some kind of task that's a little bit outside the norm of their scope, right? So if you're hiring an auto mechanic, right? And the first day or on that skills assessment, you have them do some auto mechanic work. And then you say, you know what, we also need to do this. Would you mind helping me do this? Maybe it's, I don't know, paint one small wall or do something like that. It's a little bit off. How enthusiastic are they when you ask them to go out of their comfort zone and do something they weren't expected to do? Do they jump forward, grab the paintbrush and say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll do this, no problem. And they paint the whole wall for you. Okay. If that's what they do, that's a pretty solid person. If they go, oh yeah, I don't know if I can do that, then that's their last day on the job for me because it's over. Okay. Attitude is everything. Skills can be trained. So, final thought. Hey, I don't like to hire resumes. I like to hire attitude and integrity or core values, right? I like to hire people based on that. Okay. And that's honestly, I think that's why so many business owners out there, and if you're a business owner watching this, you know what I'm talking about. You get somebody, you like them, they seem great, and then they, crash out 6 months later. A lot of times it's because you hired the wrong person from the beginning. Their core values didn't meet your needs, your core values. Okay. So the other thing is that people's situations can change. So especially when you're hiring, if you're hiring salespeople and when you hire them, they can work on commission only, and then something changes in their life. They have to get a salary. Okay. That's understandable. No harm, no foul. Right. But most of the time we hire people because we like them and we think they fit. We don't do the actual work to prove that they fit before we hire them. So just food for thought on that. Again, I'm Nick Willie. This is my first live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop me a message if your team needs help in hiring, sales, your managers need business coaching or training, anything like that. I serve businesses in the Treasure Valley and basically everywhere across the nation. I'd love to help you. My website is mammothtrainingsolutions.com, mammothtrainingsolutions.com. You can jump on there and go ahead and click book a strategy meeting, and I'll get a hold of you. We'll book a meeting and we'll jump on a Zoom and talk about your business. So I hope you'll have a great day, fantastic day. And remember, I'm doing this every single day. The Mammoth Momentum Day 2 starts tomorrow, 10:30 Mountain Time. Hope to see you there. Oh, and I wanted to know if there's any questions, but I don't know if I can see the chat. Hold on. If there's any questions, just drop them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, you all have a great day and I will see you tomorrow, same time.